Hello, hello, welcome. Thanks for joining me again for Lab at 5 with James, loan officer, that loan officer guy. And it's going to be a quick one today. I got to go pick up my mom from work, but I just hope you guys all survived your another pre-holiday party weekend here in the Midwest. At least it's still ramping up, and we haven't even gotten to the to Christmas yet. But always enjoy all of the traditional get-togethers and everything else that goes on, all the craziness. So, what I want to talk about today is something that I have really not heard a lot of people talk about when it comes to home buying. And I think probably ends up being a surprise to first-time home buyers that didn't do a ton of research up front, just sort of like reached out, talked to someone, got a pre-approval, and then applied for a loan, right? And then you ended up with a loan estimate, and then there's all this stuff on the loan estimate, breaking down what the closing costs are, right? Everything to do with the rate and the APR, of course, but also the closing costs. And sticker shock, right? I think that happens a lot when it comes to closing costs. Not everyone knows that you do actually have to pay a lot of money up front in order to just be approved for the loan, to essentially purchase the interest rate on the loan from the lender. And I want to talk about this because there's so much emphasis on rates. Rates this, rates that, rates. And that's what's in the news cycle. I get it. That's kind of the big thing going on now. But what needs to be said is that closing costs are a way to shop for mortgages and for the best way to go about purchasing a home. So what I mean by that is you can take the lowest rate, and there's something in the industry called the par rate, where the lender it's the rate at which the lender is charging you $0 just to have the rate. If you want a lower rate than that, you can actually buy a lower rate from a lender. Typically, not all lenders do this, I'm sure, but the lenders that I've worked with, my favorite ones, they'll offer you, let's say, 6.25 is the current rate, right? You can get 5.25. You're just going to have to pay extra money, which means your closing cost is going to go up by that amount. You can elect to have a higher interest rate from them, and they will discount you that money at the closing table. And there are a bunch of other ways to go about reducing closing costs. And depending on your situation, that is way more important than the rate. The rate is what we focus on, but the closing costs can be a big differentiator. Let's say that you just don't have a ton of cash on hand, but you have a great income and you've got good credit, and you think, oh, I can't buy a house right now because I can't put 20% down, and closing costs are going to be like 12 grand, and I've only got like 6 grand that I could realistically put towards closing costs on a house. This is a situation where you are absolutely not stuck with no home, because you can either purchase a higher rate, you can have seller concessions to bring that rate down, you can get a higher rate and get a discount, you can participate in a program, conventional loans at 3% down, right? 3.5% down. That goes back to that whole thing about a myth about closing costs needing to be 20%. This is not true anymore. And suddenly, instead of a house being 12 grand to close, it is now $4,000 to close on this house, right? So knowing those options is critical, because it's the differentiator in a lot of times between feeling like you can actually move forward and not being able to move forward. Moving forward meaning getting into the house that you want before somebody else does, proceeding with your life, right? There's a lot, or just you've put a lot of hard work and effort into your job and your savings, and it's time to upgrade to a new spot. Everything that goes into the home buying equation is what you have access to, right? And you might, if you're feeling a barrier right now, it might be a completely false barrier. And again, like I said before, it really, really, truly comes down to what your goals are, and then having a good team of folks that you're working with to help you know everything that there is to know about the process, and to help get to know you too, right? Like, what's your situation? What is really holding you back? And how do we solve those problems? How do we inform you to the point where we're making the most intelligent decision that we can about this whole thing? So that's it. I just wanted to throw that tidbit out there. I think that we're so focused on how, like, rates being high, it's pretty counterintuitive that you might be in a situation where getting an even higher rate than that can be the solution to your problems, because the lender is going to pay you a credit based on that higher rate. It's going to lower closing costs, and that might be the barrier that you need to jump over in order to get into that house. So thanks very much. That was a quick one, but I'll be back later and I'll talk to you soon.